In this session, we'll be addressing something very basic. Do you dip the pen in ink or do you fill it with a brush? In this series of classes, you'll see me filling the pen with a brush quite often, so let's talk about some of the reasons why. First of all, in order to use ink, you have to have a receptacle. The receptacles vary in size, and I believe this was a candlestick holder that I found somewhere. It seemed like about the right shape and size for me, and so I have the ability, if I'd like, to dip my pen in this receptacle. Now, if I was going to dip quite a bit, I might even have a skinnier receptacle, but this holds plenty of ink for me. If I'm going to dip my pen, how much ink that I actually get in the pen nib is dependent on how full the container is. So when I start out lettering, I might have a full container of ink and be getting a full, almost all the way to the top dip full of ink, but as I letter and the farther I go, I might be running out of ink and getting less, and I'll either have to continue to fill the ink as I go in order to mitigate that, or I'll have to make some adjustments in how many letters or how many strokes that I can make. By contrast, if I take a brush to fill my pen, and this brush is a Simply Simmons, it's just a flat brush. This happens to be a number 10, but any flat brush that's very inexpensive will do. This brush will not only allow me to keep the ink flowing, especially if I mix my own ink, but it'll allow me to fill the pen nib to a consistent level just about every time. So when I'm filling the pen nib, all I'm doing is I'm brushing underneath the reservoir. I happen to live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's very dry here. And so if you live in a dry climate, your ink will dry out pretty quickly. One of the other reasons that I like to fill with a brush is because I can literally stick the brush, and you can see the bristles coming out the other side of the brush. I can put my brush, off the paper of course, through that pen nib, and that serves to help keep the underside of the pen nib clean. Because I'm filling the brush usually on this side of the pen, I will also sometimes turn my pen over and I will put my brush through the other side because that side will tend to dry out. So just the technique of filling the pen nib with a brush allows me to have greater consistency, and I also have something to where if I begin to make a stroke, like so, and I don't necessarily have enough ink or the ink isn't flowing so well, I can just simply touch my pen to my brush and get that ink flowing just a little bit quicker and get a clean stroke beginning and ending. So if I'm lettering over here, I will have my hand off the paper with the brush in my hand, and then I can go ahead and make my letter form. And then when I know that I'm running out of ink, I can simply come back and fill with ink and then go back. So this hand serves to hold the paper, even though the brush is off the paper, and also to fill the pen as I go. And so it creates a rhythm. And so that would be the reason for filling the pen with a brush versus dipping the pen in ink. Another reason is if you want to do color variations, normally I'm going to have a brush and I will dip the new color in the back, on the back of the pen nib, so that the new color is in the back of the pen nib, and as the old color flows out, the new color blends in and it will serve to change colors. So those are a few of the reasons why I fill the pen with a brush rather than dip.